Right, what is going on everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to return to my favourite subreddit, r/EntitledParents. A lot of you love this, and I found a couple of great stories which I hope you will enjoy. You will date my daughter, or I'll get you fired. So, for some context, I'm a 17-year-old male and I work at a Segway tour company. It's actually really fun. I get to ride Segways around the city and talk to people and get paid to do it, plus the tipping isn't bad. I've just got to say before we get into this, I love Segways, they are so fun, I would love this job. So anyway, there was a tour booked a couple of days ago and I came in about 20 minutes early to answer emails and get everything ready. The group shows up, mother and daughter, and that's when things get interesting. So the entitled parent and daughter come in and I check them in. Alright, I have some waivers to you to sign. Daughter, how old are you? 16? Okay, then you don't need to sign a waiver. I asked this because if kids are younger than 18, their parents sign the waivers for them. But EP only heard me say the first part, not when I said D didn't need to sign a waiver. So she thought I was just asking her daughter how old she was. This was probably what started it all. We go on the tour, and while I'm giving my spiel, EP keeps interrupting me to tell me stuff about D and find if we are compatible. And so this non-profit organisation opened in... Are you in college? No, I'm a junior in high school. I'm usually pretty free with info about myself on tours because it helps keep people relaxed and initiates conversations during lulls in the tour. Plus it helps with tipping. Oh, D is also a junior. She is an artist. Stuff like this keeps happening throughout the tour, and every time D gets redder and redder, understandably. My mum does this too, where she just tells random mall attendants about me, so I know what D is going through and I feel her pain. Yeah, my parents do the exact same thing, especially my grandparents, so I totally get this. At the end of the tour, I tell the two of them that they have 15 minutes to go around the town and they can then meet me back at the Segway place. I get back and start getting things set up for their return. They roll in, pardon the pun, and I take their Segways to start charging them. So, what do you think of my daughter? Pardon me, what? I saw you checking her out during the tour. Are you gonna ask her out? Mum, stop! Mom, I just recently got out of a relationship and I'm not really looking for anything right now. What? Huh? Is my daughter not good enough for you? No, that's not it. I just said that I just got out of a relationship. You are going to date my daughter and that is final. You can't tell me what to do. I'm not your kid, and if I don't want to date your daughter, I don't have to. Besides, you haven't even asked her if she wants to date me. Yeah, I don't want to date him. See? I'm gonna call your boss and tell him about your terrible customer service. You're never gonna work in this city again. So I pull my phone out. Alright, you wanna call him and explain the situation? How you're trying to force me to date your daughter and get me fired for saying no? Then I guess the absurdity of the situation finally sunk in, and her face transitioned from pure rage to slight confusion. Wait, maybe I don't want to. No, let's call him. Start to go through my contacts and press my boss's name. Let's have this conversation. I don't think that's a good idea. Okay, D, let's go. EP runs out the door. D turns to me and says, I'm sorry, and then follows her mum. I hang up the phone before my boss answers and start cleaning the Segways. This is so fun. My favourite part of this story is that the daughter doesn't even want to date the son. This is typical of some parents that don't even care who the guy is. They just want their daughter to have, you know, be in a relationship and get married, and that's it. It's so selfish, but it does make for some funny stories, that is for sure. Entitled kid chokes me while his mum is watching, then tries to make me give him my PS4 because I punched him. This is my first story here, and also this story is more about the kid than the parent, but the parent was supporting the behaviour. This happens all the time. The kid is just a small factor. If the parent supports the kid's behaviour, it makes the kid 10 times worse. And so it begins. One summer day last year, I had just turned 14, I was playing some basketball with these two kids from my neighbourhood in their driveway. Their family is pretty rich, so they have a fully paved driveway, big enough to be a sizable court. It's just me and them for about half an hour, until Satan's son himself came over from down the street. This kid is the really stereotypical little piece of trash who made the select soccer team 3 years ago and still thinks that he runs the place. So we let him join the game and everything is fine for a bit. I'm a little bit on the bigger side, but I'm really strong, so I play really well as a centre, posting up on that, and the EK is guarding me and he's getting worked. He's shorter and not as strong, so he's getting dominated. Here's the major incident. I've just grabbed a loose ball and I'm running back towards the basket. The other kid gets back before me and stops my drive, so I start to back him down again. He must have just been really frustrated by him not getting a chance on defence, so he thinks up a plan. At this point, I was wearing a hoodie, and the idiot grabs my hood from behind and pulls as hard as he can. I, not expecting my airflow to be cut cut off, especially while I'm breathing hard, start to panic. I can't shake him off of my back. I don't know how long he's hanging on, but it felt like a whole 45 seconds. That may not seem that long, but I'm freaking the F out, so it feels like forever. 45 seconds of not being able to breathe is a long time, there's no doubt about that. An eternity later, his grip loosens and I finally get him off. I'm fired up at this point, so I punch him right in the nose. Definitely not as hard as I could, but it certainly would have hurt a lot. This little prick, however, drops like he's out cold. Meanwhile, I'm on my knees trying to get my breath back. He's bawling his eyes out, rolling and screaming and all that, being the melodramatic turd that he is. But his mum is running over, and it was this moment where I knew I was absolutely screwed. Now, sometime between when he started and when I socked him, his mother came out, but she's a typical, I want to speak to the manager, white upper middle class mum who volunteers to be the head of the PTA every year and goes to Starbucks 20 times a day, and the EK is very much her son. Now, I think we all probably know a lot of mums like that. Oh my god, are you okay? What did you do to him? He just nearly choked me out, so I punched him. Why would you do that? You're so much bigger than him. But he was choking me out. Come on, dude, you've got to be more mature about this. What do you expect me to do? Apologize to him for making him choke me? The whole thing goes on for a while until the neighbours step in to try to protect me. You know, OP really didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, you didn't even hit him that hard. But OP shouldn't be hitting people in the first place, especially not my son. Yes, she actually said especially not my son, but it was basically a trade-off. He tried. Why are you guys protecting him? You should probably go inside. You don't know what you're talking about. They keep trying to help me out, but to no avail. This just goes around for another 5 minutes before EK finally gets up and limps, yes, limps, back to his house. How can you limp when you've been punched in the head? What part of your legs aren't working when you get punched in the head? I go home because I'm sick of this and I'm just tired. The next day, I try to go back over, but the EK is already there. Neither of his parents' cars are there, so I assume that he's staying at the neighbour kid's house until they come back. I decide to go back inside because I don't want to interact with him. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't want to either. A couple hours later, EK shows up at our door with his mum standing at the gate of our fence. Hi OP, I was just coming over to say sorry for choking you yesterday. I won't ever do it again. Okay, thanks. I'm sorry that I punched you. At this point, my mum comes to see who I'm talking to and she asks what's going on. So the EM pipes up and says, "We are here for your forgiveness gift." My what? Your forgiveness gift? It's a tradition in our family that the person who apologised last has to give the other person something to make up for it. My mum is shocked and says, "Excuse me, what is going on?" I explain to her what happened, and as I explain what happened, she seems to get more and more disgusted by the situation. I finish explaining and turn back to EK, who had tried to correct my story while I was explaining it to my mum, saying things like, "He punched me twice in the face and then kicked me in the nuts while I was crying on the ground," which obviously didn't happen. My mum is basically a bomb-sniffing dog for lies, so I can see from her face that she knows that it's absolute bull. I turn back to EK. My mum says, "I'm sorry, but we don't do forgiveness gifts in this family." "We do in this one. EK, pick something out." So the EK looked around, saw my PS4 and pointed at it. "Mummy, I want that." Keep in mind that this kid is just about a year younger than I am. Too old for mummy, too old for this whole situation in my opinion, on the whole. EM walks up to our door and sees it's my PS4. "Great, we'll take that as our gift." My mum, with steam billowing out of her ears, slams the door in their faces and quickly locks it. They start pounding on the door so hard that it sounds like they are trying to break it down. We leave the door, but they stay there pounding on the door for at least another 5 minutes before finally leaving. I still leave my neighbour's house anytime I see him walking down the block. That's the story. What a disgusting little brat this guy is. But this guy is right, the kid is only part of it. The mum is probably the major problem. Now, funnily enough, I kind of like the idea that whoever apologises last has to give a forgiveness present, and I think that's sort of a way of making people want to apologise first and get back on track with their friends and family. But you can't do this with a random kid you've just met, and especially you can't just go and pick out his PlayStation 4 as a gift. It's just ridiculous. I think this mum needs something from Pro Revenge from this kid to happen to her, and I want to see a submission on Pro Revenge soon concerning this mum. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed these couple of stories, and if you did, please subscribe to the channel for more daily content.